And I'm gonna share screen now. Hello everybody, everyone see this okay? Wave if you can. Awesome, awesome. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about homeopathy in the context of women's issues. If you would like to see particular issues discussed, please unmute yourselves and tell me about them as we go along or now. But meantime, I'll just start with the discussion. So we're going to talk about homeopathy for women's issues. And the reason I'm talking about this is I wish I had thought about some of these things and known about some of these things when I was younger, and would have saved me a lot of crises, would have saved a lot of troubles. We're going to start with puberty and what happens in puberty. So about between the ages of 9 and 13, girls start to mature, they start to grow, and you see a lot of girls with headaches. These are schoolgirl headaches. Boys get them too, but girls get them a lot more. And this is as their hormones change, as their hormones morph, as their hormones become different. They start to get these sunrise to sunset headaches. And for that, Nat Muir is wonderful. Nat Muir is a wonderful remedy for that, for schoolgirl headaches. The headache turns into a migraine. You see funny with your eyes, you see auras. It's a blinding, bursting headache. And it typically happens around the time of menses. So that's natrum muriaticum, good results with that. There are girls who are young women who tend to have very profuse bleeding. Very profuse bleeding is called menorrhagia. And some great remedies for that are belladonna, if it's very bright red, if it's hot, if you feel hot. Crocus sativus is a great remedy if you have black, stringy, and profuse bleeding of any sort. Actually, not just menstrual bleeding, but any bleeding. There's another remedy called erigeron, where bleeding is accompanied by painful urination and rectal pain. So that's crocus sativus. If you have a lot of weakness, then ferrum metallicum is your friend. And the way you want to do these remedies are take a low potency 3 times a day for several days to several weeks. And over time, the hormones balance themselves out. Over time, the profuse bleeding disappears and normality is restored to the cycle. Another good one is cyclamen for black or membranous discharges. This is especially true postpartum. Women postpartum tend to get these. Or if you're miscarrying, or if you have an abortion, it's a great remedy. Cyclamen is a great remedy. Cotalus horridus is a great remedy if your menses get delayed and are profuse. So you're supposed to get it in 40 days, or 28 days, excuse me, and it turns into 40 days, and it's very profuse at that time. That's Cotalus horridus. If you get clots with your menses, big clots with blood, then Sabina is a wonderful remedy. So these are the different remedies you can use for profuse bleeding. Some people get long periods. Phosphorus is a great remedy. If your periods extend to, instead of the regular 3-4 days, they extend to 10-15 days. So, so those are great remedies for profuse bleeding. Thyroidinum, if you have low thyroid, if you have cold, dry skin, if you have water retention, and you have all these aches and pains and excessive bleeding when you have your periods, or for when your daughter has periods or a youngster has periods, that's a great remedy. Thyroidinum, a few doses. Lachesis is great for excessive flow, especially in your later years. Sometimes in your perimenopausal and menopausal years, you get a lot of excessive bleeding, and lachesis is great. And the bleeding might be dark red or blackish red. That's a lachesis menorrhagia. I'm gonna open the door to the dogs. I'll be right back. Travis? Okay. Then we get to hypomenoria. Hypomenoria means scanty menses. And there are a lot of young girls who are on pasteurized milk, women on pasteurized milk, young girls who are eating a lot of tofu, I find, or foods that suppress your thyroid, suppress your hormones, or exacerbate your hormones, or you have no periods at all. For these kind of scanty menses, pulsatilla is a wonderful remedy for delayed menses. So if your child gets menses, not getting menses at the age of between 13 and 14, if they're delayed to 16 or 18, consider pulsatilla. If your hormones are out of balance and that is the reason you're getting low menses or very scanty menses, sepia is a great remedy. And for women in perimenopause and right before menopause, if you have scanty menses and you're worried about it, sepia is your remedy. Menses that are delayed in young girls, very young girls. So if your daughter got menses when she was 13 and then, they were, a few months apart instead of, the regular 28 days or thereabouts, then Natmure is a great remedy. And it's frequently accompanied by headaches, migraines, auras. I used to get them. My menses were delayed to the age of 15, and I would get tearing migraines with every cycle, and Natmure would have been the remedy. Instead, my mom took me to the gynecologist who recommended a remedy or an allopathic prescription that completely messed up my periods for about 2 years. It was some sort of hormones. And so what homeopathy does is it's naturally addressing the balance of hormones in your body without terrible side effects. Graphites is a great remedy if you have late menses, but menses accompanied by colic. So you have severe stomach cramps. Anyone got menses with severe stomach cramps? My daughter sometimes got them. And so graphites is a great remedy. If you have late or scanty menses, then lachesis is another good remedy later on in life as well as in puberty. And if the discharges are more blackish red, blackish red. If you have a very short period of menses, like 1 day instead of 3 or 4 or 5 days, conium maculatum is a great remedy. There's Jonessia asoka, which is a great remedy for dysregulated menstrual cycles in young women. You accompanied typically by pain in the head, in your back, in your thighs, in your lower belly, etc. And there's another remedy which is wonderful for when your periods get delayed by several months. Many young women have periods delayed by several months. That's kali carb. Phosphorus. Some women have milky discharges from their nipples and no periods. That is phosphorus. If you have menses with hirsutism, so you have facial hair with the onset of menses, then oleum jec is a wonderful remedy to balance all that out. That's a sign of PCOS as well. So hypermenorrhea is a big problem in young girls today because so many of our foods are laden with hormones. We drink out of plastic water bottles, so the xenoestrogens in the plastic bottles are just terrible dysregulators of our hormones. So between profuse menses, scanty menses, there's another condition called amenorrhea, which is no menses at all. And if they're missing for several months, pulsatilla is a great remedy. Sepia, if they're totally absent, sepia is a great remedy. Sometimes your menses stop when you're in grief. And Ignatia is a great remedy for that. Any questions so far? All right. Another thing that used to happen, and I based this off of what used to happen to my children. There are probably more things that happen to young girls than this, but bone pain, especially when girls are growing from the age of 9 to about 15, they easily grow a foot and a half in a very short period. There's severe bone pain. And the bone pain is not necessarily from not eating enough food or the right kinds of food, but not having the ability to assimilate food. And so to develop the assimilative capacities, Calphos is wonderful. Calphos is great in osteoporosis when you're losing bone mass in your postmenopausal years. It is great for bone pain in your puberty when you're growing way faster than your body can cope. If you get cramps with your bone pains, then magnesium phosphoricum in hot water is a wonderful, wonderful remedy. If you have weakness and bone pain, then phosphoric acid is a wonderful remedy. If you get calf cramps, then Calcarea carbonica is a great remedy for young girls with growing bones. Silica, if you are very cold and you have pain in your bones, your child is very cold and complains of the cold at night and has bone pain, then silica is a great remedy. Another set of remedies is for restless legs. Does anyone here get restless legs at all or has gotten restless legs? No, no. My daughter used to get restless legs. Zinc metallicum is a great remedy for restless legs.
Sushma?
Yeah?
I have a friend who gets terrible restless legs.
Yes, yes.
It's terrible. It really is a problem for her. And I gave her some magnesium for her to take before she went to bed, the topical magnesium. But what was that you said she could take maybe that would help her?
She should take zinc metallicum, which would be very helpful for restless legs. And if they're extremely restless and crampy, then cuprum metallicum is a great remedy.
Okay.
And what that will do is it'll relieve the restless legs. It will allow the mineral metabolism to fix itself in her bones. Another remedy is tarantula hispania, if she literally has dancing legs at night. If her muscles, if she's got restless legs because her muscles are achy, then Rus tox is a great remedy. If she's got rigid calf and the rigid calf muscles are causing her legs to spasm, then argentum nitricum is a great remedy. If her legs are twitching and are heavy, then causticum is a good remedy. So a lot depends on the exact symptoms, folks, and that is the beauty and complexity of homeopathy. Once you get the right simillimum, it works like magic. If you have pricking and numbness, then Calphos is a great remedy for restless legs. And I can guarantee you at some point in your life, you've overdone it, you've gardened too much, walked too much, worked out in the gym too much, you're gonna have restless legs, you're gonna have cramps, you're gonna have bone pain potentially. Don't reach for the Advil. What the Advil is gonna do is destroy your connective tissue. It'll actually cause your tendons and ligaments to snap. It's not curative, it is suppressive. All it's doing is taking the pain away. And what this will do is it'll get your vital force back in gear. And I've seen some miraculous results from people who use these remedies for their restless legs. If you have very, very super restless legs with spasms, some people have spasms in their fingers and toes, and sometimes with epilepsy and teeth grinding and gnashing at night, cuprum metallicum. Cuprum metallicum is a great remedy.
Sushma, what was the one you suggested instead of ibuprofen?
Advil was, instead of ibuprofen, depending on if it's pain, then arnica.
Okay.
instead of ibuprofen, arnica, if it is pain. If it's restless legs, zinc metallicum. If you
Okay.
have bone pain, calphos. If you remember nothing else,
Uh-huh.
pain, arnica. Arnica is your Advil, your aspirin, your ibuprofen. Zinc metallicum is for restless legs, and super restless legs, cuprometallicum. And if you have cramps, then magphos.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
All right. And right now, initially, it'll all seem like a lot, but once you get a handle on this and once you become friends with these remedies, they will become second nature to you. And therefore, I'm repeating myself a lot because that's helpful. Nausea. I see too many women in pregnancy taking antiemetics for nausea, drinking all sorts of very, very poisonous substances that are really bad for a baby and yourself. There are wonderful homeopathy remedies for that. Ipecac is for any pneumogastric, anything that affects your parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve, which causes digestion and respiration and all your internal organs to go around. Ipecac is a great remedy. Pulsatilla is another wonderful remedy for nausea, especially if you get it from eating fats, especially if you're weepy and clingy. The woman is weepy and clingy. Pulsatilla is a great nausea remedy. If you've eaten and drunk something you should not and you get nausea, Nux vomica is a great remedy. If you got food poisoning or ate, bad foods, Arsenicum album is a great nausea remedy. Heparsulf, Kalicarb, Magcarb, Silica, sulfur, these are great nausea remedies if the symptoms match. And what I would say is keep this set of charts on hand and look them up. Look them up in Materia Medica to see what matches your symptoms, and you'll come up with the right remedy. A lot of people get itching in pregnancy. How many of you got terrible itches? And that's related to the liver. Your liver is overburdened. You get these itches on your palms there's no eruptions, there's no rashes, it just itches like crazy. And these are called prenatal itches. And there's two wonderful remedies for that. One is itching without eruptions. It gets worse from scratching it. You want to scratch it, you scratch it, but then it feels terrible. A lot of these itches are right-sided. Okay, guess what's located on your right side? Your liver. And your skin itches, your palms itch. And then heat makes it worse. Cold water makes your hands or your skin burn. That remedy is Dolichos. Dolichos is a wonderful remedy. If you have intense itching with nausea, especially palms of hand, also without eruptions, Ichthyolum is a great remedy. Ichthyolum. And they're the moods of pregnancy. People have sad moods, low moods. Women get weepy, that's pulsatilla. You get anxious, you have bad news, you have grief, that's ignatia. You have sadness, but you're not able to express it. You tend to internalize your sadness. That's a natrum muriaticum, sadness. You get so upset and you're so sad that you don't think life is worth living. Don't let it go untreated, guys, and do not treat it with antidepressants because they have a serious effect on the fetus. Or a metallicum is your friend if you have serious depression to the point where you feel suicidal. Sepia is when you know you love your family, but you just are indifferent to them. You know you love your baby, your born or unborn baby, but you can't find it in your heart to love them. You're so exhausted from your nights of looking after children, from work, from doing laundry, loads and loads of laundry. That's sepia. If you're very anxious, very worried, and very restless, that's a Kali Phos kind of mood. And these mood remedies are applicable not just in pregnancy, but in your daily life, because women have a lot of daily stressors. They're working, they're dealing with society, they're cooking, You know, they're interacting with their neighbors, they're taking care of relatives. So there's a lot for us to be thinking about, and frequently they take on more than they can handle. And when you do that, these remedies will keep you balanced. Very, very important. The other thing that happens in pregnancy is you're carrying another being, which is attached by a placenta and a big tube to your body. And this being is sucking out your nutrition, and your body needs to be able to give that nutrition to your the growing child in your belly. And in a lot of cases, women take in too many vitamins. They're taking in vitamin after vitamin after vitamin. They're taking in supplement after supplement, which contain additives, stabilizers, colors. They're made from industrial byproducts. But more than anything, these supplements are analogs of the real thing. You cannot assimilate a supplement in and of itself. You need agents that will help you assimilate the nutrition in foods. And you do that by taking something called homeopathic cell salts. These are very low potency cell salts, and what they're doing is they're helping you assimilate those nutrients from your food. They're not the nutrient itself. And so throughout pregnancy, from month 1 to month 9, there are these cell salts that you can take, 3 a day of 3 salts per month, that'll help you metabolize your calcium better, your phosphorus better, your iron better, your salt better, your silica better, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a little chart, what you take in each month. In each month, you take a little bit of calfluor, so you're imbibing calcium at all times, and you combine that with either magphos or ferrum phos or natmure or silica, and in combination, these salts are very powerful in pregnancy. If you can't take it every day, if you can't take it 3 times a day, that's okay. Just try and take some of them, or tell them to your grandchildren and your daughters-in-law and daughters who are going to have children or who have children. It is great for lactation when the quality of your milk needs to be enhanced, these cell salts. Any questions? All right. Another very important milestone in a woman's life is delivery, and you're having babies. You have a stuck birth, you're dilated to almost 9 centimeters or 8 centimeters, and you're not going any further. Delivery is stalled. 1 dose of cauliflower has been known to cause the baby to pop out in 10 minutes. So instead of going for a C-section, which involves radical surgery, cutting through 7 layers of your tissues and creating 7 weeks of injury where you're hobbling around, cauliflower is a wonderful, wonderful remedy when you're about to give birth and it's stuck, the baby's stuck. If your baby is breech, then pulsatilla is great to re-engage the head back into the cervix. So pulsatilla is something I should have added, but I forgot. If you have pain in delivery, arnica, wonderful. If you have shooting pains running up and down your spine, hypericum is a great nerve pain remedy. If you have nausea, ipecac or another remedy is wonderful. And if you have shock, if you're shocked by hospitals, by doctors, by the thought of it all, aconite is a wonderful, wonderful trauma remedy. So what I would suggest is if you are helping someone out delivering a baby, if you're a grandma, if you are a mother-in-law, if you're a mother, take these remedies with you and offer them to the person. You just drop a couple of cauliflower in a jar of water and have the person sip them in the last 20 minutes of her delivery, or 1 dose, 1 or 2 doses. If they're in pain, you give them arnica and the pain goes away You don't need to do epidurals, which are extremely dangerous because you're taking a painkiller, shoving it up between your vertebrae into your spine with one of those crooked needles, and injecting painkillers, which disable your ability to feel where your baby is at. God gives you, or nature gives you pain for a good reason, so you know what's going to happen. Instead of that, you can take an aconite, and that'll just as easily and well relieve pain. It's magical. If you have too much bleeding before or after, phosphorus. And if you have anxiety, again, Ignatia is a great remedy. So these are remedies for birth remedies that everyone should at least know about, if not have in hand. There are some postpartum remedies. You ever notice how women after birth get kind of low, they're tired out, they're wrung out, they're worn out. Their thyroids are shattered, they're looking at baby and they're overwhelmed. So when you get these blues, don't neglect them and don't eat antidepressants. Sepia is a great remedy if you have indifference postpartum. Ignatia is a great remedy if you have a child in front of you and you don't even know how to change their diapers. And you're saying, what on earth was I thinking having this baby when I don't know the first thing about children. And this is 24/7 for the next, 80, 50 years of my life. That's Ignatia. Or a metallicum if you're into serious depression. Nat Mure if you kind of keep your feelings to yourself, but you're very, very sad. And again, Kalifos if you're very anxious and very stressy and very restless. That's a Kalifos blues. If you have low thyroid, there's a very definitive Banerjee protocol that works wonderfully, and that's bromium 6C and lycopodium 200 for cases of low thyroid postpartum. If you have mastitis, a lot of women suffer through mastitis. They don't want to take antibiotics for the baby, and they just suffer in silence. You don't have to do that. Belladonna 30C for inflamed breasts that are hot, red, and sore will take care of your mastitis. Phytolacca, if you find an abscess in your breast, or Hepar sulf 6C, if you have infections in your breast that are oozing greenish yellow stuff. So that's for mastitis in pregnancy. And then there's breast pain. You get breast pain in pregnancy, upon delivery, in lactation, in premenopause, postmenopause, and bryonia. Skip the Advil. Bryonia is a wonderful remedy for breast tenderness, during periods, before periods, after periods, and it'll cure it. It'll take care of it forever, or for a long, long time. So what you want to do is cure the condition that has been caused by whatever that ailment is. So try Bryonia 30C for straight breast pain. Now we get to perimenopause, women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and menopause, women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s. And women tend to have different issues frequently than men do in their perimenopausal and menopausal years. Frequently, you find that as the estrogen secretion of your ovaries goes down, as the hormonal secretions go down, you start to lose a little bit of hair, or your thyroid slows down, or you become a little moody, a little bit more out of sorts. You get fogginess, you get mental confusion. I remember that happened to me at about 53 or 54, when I was going through my menopause. I would just not remember things. And I would say, holy cow, how am I gonna ever work? What if everyone at work finds out that I can't remember a damn thing? Sepia would have really helped me. Sepia would have helped me. Lachesis would have helped me for my hot flashes or palpitations. You wake up in the middle of the night sweating and you go, what the hell? Am I getting a heart attack? That is lachesis. That is lachesis. If you get very anxious, if your children leave home and you have empty nester syndrome, it's like your kids died, right? That's Ignatia. That's Ignatia, Nat Muir. If you feel life is not worth living, or a Metallicum. Address those moods, take those remedies in low potencies if the problem is more chronic over a longer period of time. And by all means, take them in high potencies. And the way you take homeopathic remedies is you keep taking them as frequently as you need to until the problem is resolved. And once it's resolved, you sort of taper off. So it's not like antibiotics where you take a dose for 10 days and you have to take it or else, it is totally dependent upon your condition, upon the individual and what's happening to them. So moods are one of the most important things in your perimenopausal and menopausal years. You will save a lot of your loved ones, a lot of grief by thinking about this, by understanding your moods and taking remedies, folks. There are deaths in families. Frequently in your middle years, your grandparents or your parents pass away and there's a lot of grief. There's a lot of catching up. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of tiredness. And so you want to shore up your vital force. If you have palpitations and hot flushes, in particular, if you find suddenly that you cannot tolerate turtlenecks, you need to have loose-waisted clothing. You cannot bear to wear jeans anymore. If you're getting up at odd hours in the night, if you have constipation, lachesis. Your remedy is lachesis. Lachesis 6, lachesis 30, or lachesis 200, several times a day, as and when needed. If you have a lot of that, do it for 10 days and see what happens. It takes a while for homeopathic remedies to act. They act very gently, but they act incontrovertibly. That is, they act with permanence. That's wonderful. A lot of us find that we have incontinence or a little bit of dribbling, or we have to run to the bathroom because we feel we can't make it in time. So if we find that we have incontinence, creosotum is great. Creosotum is a great remedy if you have to run to the bathroom. For too much or too little urination, too sudden, too not sudden, if you have tenesmus or gripping of your sphincter and you sit down but you can't pee, then meteorinum and causticum especially is a great remedy. If you have insomnia, if you get up at midnight or later, arsenicum album is a wonderful, wonderful remedy, especially if it's related to digestive issues. If you wake up like clockwork between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, that's a Kali carbonicum. That's a Kali carbonicum. If you partied, ate a later dinner that you wanted, and now you're holding your stomach and can't sleep or wake up later at night or several times, then nux vomica is your remedy. Or if you drank too much wine, nux vomica. Insomnia of alcoholics, insomnia of over-partying or eating foods that didn't agree with you is a nux vomica. And that frequently happens when we eat a little bit late. If you got good news and you're too excited, or if you just can't sleep for some reason, coffea cruda is a great remedy for when you cannot fall asleep. Arsenicum album falls asleep but wakes up. Kali carb falls asleep but wakes up. Nux vomica wakes up all throughout the night. Coffea cruda can't fall asleep. And so that's when you have excitement, you heard good news frequently and you're just too excited. Take a coffea cruda. If you have grief or anxiety, take an Ignatia and you will fall asleep better. And if you're restless and anxious and you're hyperactive, the Kali Phos is a great remedy to take. Any questions? if they come to you, just unmute yourselves and you can go for it. If you have liver-related problems, many women go on these draconian, low-fat diets, and all of a sudden they have gallbladder troubles. Their liver is not secreting bile properly, or the bile in their gall ducts becomes fossilized into gallstones. If that happens, if you get colic in your liver region or gallbladder region, before you opt for surgery, please consider chelidonium, a low dose of chelidonium. Gallbladders are very easy to take out and very difficult to put back when you need them, but they're essential when you eat fats. When you eat fats, your gallbladder squeezes out a squirt of bile. And that's why you have this storage organ at the edge of your intestines, next to your duodenum, where the liver stores away like a couple of tablespoons of bile. And when that gets disordered, as it does in menopause and perimenopause, you have liver problems and gallstone problems. And once you take the gallbladder out, it leads to so many incalculable, so much harm. You have digestive problems, you have sleep issues, then you get uterine issues, and one thing leads to another. So keep chelidonium on hand for your liver and gallbladder issues. A lot of women, once your hormones slow down, start to get heart problems. And I would opt for homeopathics over heart medications at Kaiser any day because they are amazing. They don't have side effects, which are frequently the main effects of allopathic remedies. They're gentle and they're curative. And some of the remedies that have been used with great success in heart disease in women are arnica, crataegus tincture or low potencies of crataegus, strophanthus, digitalis, aconitum for shock and trauma and pain, arnica for heart pain, Sikale for blood pressure balancing. These are wonderful, wonderful remedies that will prove to be curative for the heart and give people good long life. Many people, many women in particular, get vertigo in the perimenopausal years as your hormonal orchestra changes its rhythm. For that, conium maculatum. So Renee, conium maculatum 6C twice daily. And if it's acute vertigo, add tellurium metallicum 200C twice weekly to it. Great for vertigo. If you find that you're losing your libido, postmenopausal years, you should have, those are the free years, so-called free years, when you're in no danger of getting pregnant, and all of a sudden you find out that you have no libido. Sepia 200C twice a day until much better is your remedy. It works. If you have restless legs, Zinca metallicum or Cupra metallicum are great. If you have breast pain, Bellis perennis for breast pain from injuries, you got hit with a shovel or something. Phytolacca if you have soft tissue abscess. Conium maculatum if you have a hard node in your breast and your breast is hurting from that, or your breasts tend to be very dense and you get pain from that. Conium in a low potency is wonderful. And that is the remedies for women. We covered puberty, starting with schoolgirl headaches, profuse menses, scanty menses, no menses, bone pain in growing girls, restless legs, pregnancy issues, or actually life issues, nausea, itching, intense itching, moods in pregnancies and non-pregnancies as well. The need to assimilate good minerals during all phases of your life. Cell salts help you do that. So instead of eating more magnesium, instead of eating more and more calcium supplements, consider the fact, consider the proposition that you're getting all the minerals you need from your food. Your body just can't take them in. That's what homeopathics are for, to help you assimilate your foods so you don't have to take vitamins and supplements and outside minerals, which are very, very hard to digest, if not impossible. Delivery, too many C-sections. There's like the C-section rate in the US is 35 or 40% in many hospitals, 50% in many hospitals. You can avoid all that. You can avoid the trauma of birth injuries by using homeopathy. Postpartum, for all the conditions, the low thyroid, the blues, the mastitis, the breast pain, we've got excellent remedies in homeopathy. And especially for our perimenopausal and menopausal years, moods, constipation, palpitations, flushes, incontinence, insomnia, liver problems, heart problems, vertigo, libido, restless legs, and breast pain. We've got excellent remedies in homeopathy. And I'm gonna now stop sharing and also stop recording.
Sushma, I have a question.
Yes.